Hey everybody, today I want to talk about this Lennon signature box set. This is the vinyl box set that came out in 2015. When it came out in 2015, I passed it up and instead I just bought two of the individual albums. I bought Plastic Ono Band and Mind Games, and I was not impressed with those pressings at all. Both of them had some problems as far as just the overall pressing. There were some skips and some distortion. And just the overall sound quality just wasn't all that great as well. So you may be asking yourself, so why did you then buy the box set? Well, about a month ago I was on eBay and I saw this box set. Someone had it sealed with a little bit of damage on the box. So I don't know if you can see that or not. Right here, the cover is a little bit torn and there's a little bit of a wrinkle, a crease going through right there. So it was listed for $65, which I thought was a pretty good deal. So I picked it up, knowing the problems that come with this box set. And I will be telling you all the problems with my box set, the one I have right here, and some of the other problems that other people experienced as well. But first off, let's just look at the box itself. There is the front cover, or the front of the slipcase, which I do think looks pretty good. And then the spine right there. And then the back has all the albums and the songs within the albums. I don't know if you can read that or not, but you just have to believe me. And then the only bit of information you get at all is on the bottom of the box. And it's not much, but I won't even bother trying to show it to you, it's so small. It just has the usual legal jargon and it has a barcode, but it also says made in Germany, which tells us that this was pressed by Optimal. Optimal has a great reputation, and normally it'd be fantastic this was pressed by Optimal. In this case, for some reason, this particular box set, these Lennon albums have a lot of issues. So what you get in this box, you get Plastic Ono Band, Imagine, Sometime in New York City, Mind Games, Walls and Bridges, Rock and Roll, Double Fantasy, and Milk and Honey. So basically you get all of John's studio albums released in his lifetime, and then of course Milk and Honey, which was released soon after he passed away. You are missing though some pretty key albums, I will say. You don't get the Live Peace in Toronto album, which was released by the Plastic Ono Band in, I believe, 1969. Maybe that was 1970, but I think it was 69. And I actually like that album quite a lot. You're also missing his other live album, Live in New York City. That was released later. I believe that was released in like 1986, 85, something like that. And then some other albums as well, like Min Love Avenue, his compilation album, Shaved Fish, that has a lot of great singles like Instant Karma, Give Peace a Chance. So this box is missing some key Lennon solo tracks, like the ones I just mentioned, Instant Karma, Power to the People, all those great singles. But you get the core studio albums, what you get in this box. And these are the original mixes that were released in the 1970s that were approved of by John. So these are not the remixes, I need to make that very clear. These are the original mixes. And they are remastered from the original master tapes, and these are all done by the same team that worked on the Beatles' 2009 digital remasters. So, you know, take that for what you will. Some people love the work that they did, some people don't like the work they did. Let's now talk about each of the albums within this box set, and I will tell you the problems that I hear and that I experience with my copies here, and kind of give you a little bit of a cautionary tale if you're thinking about picking up this Lennon signature box set. And before I get into it, I should also mention there's not a booklet in here or any type of like just single sheet that lists any more information about who did the mastering or where it was done or who cut the actual vinyl. None of that is anywhere to be found in here, which I think is a big bummer. The other thing is, this is released, of course, as a CD box set, and the CD box set included 2 additional CDs of bonus material. I think it had like some home demos that John did and some studio outtakes as well. It would have been nice if they included that in this box set, but they didn't for whatever reason, so oh well. So let's look at the contents here. First off, plastic Ono Band. And I should mention before I get into this that, of course, when I'm criticizing these albums, I'm not criticizing the music that John wrote. These are albums that I love and treasure, and I love almost all of John Lennon's solo work. I think it's absolutely brilliant. What I'm criticizing is the overall pressing and the overall sound quality of this box set, so don't get too angry with me. Here's Plastic Ono Band, and they reproduced the original inner sleeve, and it's a nice thick inner sleeve. Now I have added poly-lined sleeves in all of these to protect the records. They didn't come with poly-lined sleeves, but I highly recommend doing that if you get this box set. And there is Plastic Ono Band record. Now, for this particular pressing, there were a lot of problems, pressing problems, I will say. The first song on here, Mother, it skips because there is a bit of a warp to the record. So the first, I think like 4 or 5 bell tolls that you hear before Mother, they just completely skip and you don't even get to hear them. And then I think the very first Mother John sings also skips for me on this one. So that's a bit of a problem right off the bat. Also, I found out on here, has a big skip in the middle of it, which is a big bummer. Side 2 had a couple of skips as well for me. I believe one was on, what can I remember, if I can remember right. I think the song Love, I believe, one of the quieter songs. And also on the song God, there's a bunch of skips as well. So right off the bat, horrible, horrible quality control. So that's not very good. Another thing, the actual sound quality itself, the mastering. They beefed up the bass on this album so much that at times on certain songs, it ruins it for me. It's just totally overblown. Some songs, the extra bass is kind of a little bit nice. Some of the gentler songs like Working Class Hero and Love with just the acoustic guitars, it's nice to have a little extra low end, I guess. But when it's on rockin' songs like I Found Out or Remember, those songs it's just completely overblown. I like a lot of bass, as Bob, you probably know, but that inauthentic overblown bass, I just don't really like it. So yeah, problems with Plastic Ono Band. Next up is Imagine, and this one is one of the rarities in this box set in that it doesn't sound all that bad. The mastering is pretty good is what I'll say. The quality of this particular record in my box set, the pressing, actually was pretty good. I didn't have any skips on this one, and overall it was a pleasant listen. Not my favorite pressing of Imagine. I much prefer an original UK pressing. I think I have an original UK pressing from 1971, I guess would be the year this was released. But overall, this wasn't bad, and you get with it the original poster, a reproduction of the poster, and 2 of the postcards, the one of John wrestling the pig, and the other one of it's just like a postcard that he kind of made himself. So that's cool, you get those with it. So really no complaints about the Imagine album in this box set, but it's nothing special, I'll put it that way. Sometime in New York City, and there's the gatefold, and there's the back. And I'm not going to bother showing every single album, but I will show some of the records. There's what that first record looks like. And this does come with a little insert, which is cool. It's the Statue of Liberty with a reproduction of John and Yoko's signatures. So that's kind of cool. This one, much like Imagine, it sounded fine to me. Nothing amazing. There are better pressings of this out there, that's for sure. But as far as the overall pressing quality and the mastering, it's just fine. Nothing to complain about. And I gotta say, I do like the sturdy gatefold here. It's kind of an improvement on the original Sometime in New York City packaging, I will say. As an ambulance goes by. Mind games. So I have two pressings of this now. The one I bought back in 2015 and now the one in this box set. They both have issues. They both have different issues. So it just shows that the pressing quality, it wasn't happening back in 2015. Let's just put it that way. So for this one, again, they reproduced the inner sleeve and it's on the Apple label. This one had a ton of skips for me. It skipped on the very first song, again, Mind Games. There was a big skip at the intro. There's a skip on One Day at a Time, if I remember correctly. And side 2, I think, wasn't all that bad as far as skipping goes. But again, this one, there's just something off with the mastering on this. It sounds a little bit hollow to me. In their defense, the original Mind Games mix, of course, that we've all talked about, it isn't a great audiophile quality mix, is what I'll say. Trying to be respectful to John, because of course John produced this and this is how he wanted it to sound. But in my opinion, that original mix that he created, it's something you have to learn to love, and it has its own quirky charms, is what I'll say. So they didn't maybe have a lot to work with when it came to trying to remaster this album. But again, Mind Games doesn't do it for me in this box set. Next up, Walls and Bridges. This is, at least for me, in my set, this is maybe the only one worth picking up if you can find one that doesn't have any skips or problems with the pressing quality. Mine played perfectly well. It's perfectly flat. I didn't have any skips all through side 1 or side 2, no pops, and it actually sounds very, very good. I think this is an improvement over the original US pressing. I have a bunch of different US pressings of Walls and Bridges, and I think this sounds really, really good. Is it a million times better than the original pressings? No, but it's just a little bit better, maybe a little bit more clarity for me. Again, the bass has been kind of beefed up on this, but in this case, it kind of works for this album. So this is the only album in the set that I'll say that I approve of and I really kind of like. So that's Walls and Bridges. I won't bother taking it out. It has the same Apple label that Mind Games does. And it does come with the original booklet that you got in the original album and the original inner sleeve. And of course, the fun flaps that you can play around with. Next up, and this is the biggest blunder of the whole box set. Rock and Roll. I was actually excited to get this because, for kind of a wrong reason. In some of the early pressings of this box set, this had a big mess up on it. On side 1, it has the song You Can't Catch Me, the Chuck Berry song. And on some of the early pressings, instead of it playing You Can't Catch Me, it had Sweet Little 16, which is the last song on side 1. So on some of the early pressings, you had two versions of Sweet Little 16, the same version, the same song, same recording, but it just happened twice. So you had Bebop Balula, Stand By Me, Rip It Up, and then Sweet Little 16, Ain't That a Shame, Do You Want to Dance, and Sweet Little 16 again. So that was a big problem. Now my particular pressing here, it had fixed that by that point. But those original pressings that had that problem, Universal Music, they put out a website where if you bought this box set and you had proof of purchase, they would send you a fixed pressing of Rock and Roll. So they did try to make it right. My particular copy is the corrected version, has You Can't Catch Me on here, but This is the worst of all the pressings, in my box at least, for skips. It's warped. The first side, you can't even listen to Bebop Lula. The first 30 seconds, it's just completely warped. It doesn't even play. And that goes for side 2 as well, with the first song Slippin' and Slidin'. Just completely skips the first like 30, 45 seconds of it. There are other skips on various songs on side 1. And it doesn't matter. I'm sure some of you are asking, well, did you adjust your tone arm and the weight and all that stuff and try to make it work? I didn't even bother with that because I have it set how I know I like it and how it's supposed to be set with the proper weight and all that kind of stuff. And it sounds great. All my other records play no problem. So it's definitely a problem with this particular box set and these particular pressings. So this was just a complete mess when it comes to the quality of the actual record. Now, from when I could actually listen to the music, the mastering on this is also kind of weird. It's mastered kind of quiet, but it's not quiet in like a dynamic good way. It's quiet in the sense that like they just like maybe they compress the hell out of it, but then they just like lowered the overall volume. So it's just a weird pressing, and really unfortunate because I actually love this rock and roll album. So stay away from this one. Yes. And next up, Double Fantasy. This one also had some problems. Had a couple of skips. The first song, Just Like Starting Over, skipped again. And I think the skips on, that's kind of a trend here, the skips on the first songs on sides 1 and side 2 of all these records, it's generally because there's a bit of a warp in some of these records. There is the label, reproduced the Geffen Records label. The biggest problem with this Double Fantasy album, with this pressing, is that the sibilants, so whenever they would sing an S or a T or a P, it's horrible on here. It's completely distorted. And for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, like when John sings like, it'll be just like starting over, when he says starting over, that starting is just like, it just sounds horrible. And that's just throughout the whole album. It has to do with the mastering. It's just not very good. Overall, it's just kind of distorted in a lot of spots on side 1 and side 2. So very disappointing when it comes to Double Fantasy. And Milk and Honey, which is one of my favorite John Lennon solo albums, and I'm sure that's an unpopular opinion. You get the cool reproduced gatefold sleeve and the back. I think the back cover should have been the front cover. That's just me personally. I do like the front cover, but this should have been the back. This should have been the front. Just my 2 cents. And reproduction of the original inner sleeve. And this is on, well, it was originally on Polydor, so they reproduced the Polydor label. Now this one suffers a bit of the same fate as Double Fantasy. It's not as bad, I will say. There are still some sibilance problems, and just overall it's a little bit too mastered, a little bit too hot for certain songs. But it's, like I said, not as bad as Double Fantasy, and it's just kind of here and there has a bit of a problem. You can easily find, by the way, both Double Fantasy and Milk and Honey. You can find original copies from the 1980s that are in just pristine quality for a very low price, and the sound is very good. So yeah, just overall this box set was a disappointment, and I don't feel all that bad because, like I said, I didn't pay like top dollar. I think when this box came out, it was close to like $200 when it came out, and I do see it still online for about $150 to $200, brand new. I think you can still get this on Amazon even, brand new, for like $200. But unless you're a complete John Lennon completist, and you just want it to look good on your shelf, which that's what's gonna happen with this box set. I'm not going to try to resell it. Obviously I can't exchange it because it's from 2015, so there's no way I can try to upgrade this in any way. I'm just gonna keep it. I'm gonna put it up here on my shelf with all my other box sets, and that's where it will live. And maybe occasionally I will pull it out and try to listen to some of these records. I definitely will listen to the Walls and Bridges record in here because I did like that. But overall, a bit of a disappointment, this box set, and I would avoid it if I was you. But that's just me. I'd love to know in the comments below what you think about this box set. Maybe you were very lucky and you got one that has no problems whatsoever, and you're quite happy with it. If that's the case, I'd love to hear about that in the comments below. I also love to hear from those that picked it up and they, like me, got a bad box set, and they feel like they want to vent a little bit after all these years. Feel free in the comments below. So that's it for now. Hope you enjoyed the video. Take care, and bye for now.